Hello there. Following allegations of nepotism and corruption, the British government is now taking legal action against a company that commissioned to supply protective clothing at the beginning of the corona pandemic. The Ministry of Health in London announced on Monday that PPE Medpro had been accused of breach of contract, and the company rejected this, of course. But the case had recently caused a stir. Several media reported that the Conservative House of Representatives member Michelle Mone had advertised the company in emails to private addresses of members of the government. The company was subsequently awarded a contract worth more than £200 million despite having no manufacturing experience. More than £100 million worth of protective clothing turned out to be unusable. Mone denies allegations that she benefited financially from the contract. However, she has temporarily resigned from the House of Lords. At the beginning of the pandemic, the Conservative government had awarded numerous lucrative contracts for masks and protective equipment without a tender. Critics accuse them of favoring friends, relatives, and generous donors of the Conservative Party. In January 2022, a court found that companies had been wrongly favored. The ministry had defended its approach at the time. At the time, every second counted, and meanwhile the agency is trying to reclaim billions of pounds from companies for over-ordered goods. But that doesn't come as a surprise with this British government anyway, does it? Britain is in a severe economic crisis now because of this government. At around 11%, inflation is the highest it has been in 40 years. The high prices for food and energy are throwing millions of people into poverty, and the food banks can no longer keep up with the record-breaking demand. According to a TUC study, real wages will fall by 3% in 2022, more than at any time since 1977. TUC boss O'Grady speaks of a shame. The outlooks gives little cause for hope as well. Economists are expecting a long downturn, at least until the end of 2023. The reality contradicts all scenarios that the Brexit advocates once envisaged. Food and energy should become cheaper, well-paid jobs should be easier to get for the British. Millions should flow into the health service instead of Brussels. Yeah, you remember the bus. The Brexit freedoms will make the kingdom a trading nation again. Nothing has happened so far, which is one of the reasons why more than half of the population now considers the exit from the EU to be a mistake. Well, 100% should, but still. The government around Prime Minister Sunak, a Brexiteer, wants nothing to do with it. Their mantra is, the problems were all caused by the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine. Yeah, they said it about the pandemic as well, or their smokescreens. As is well known, Great Britain is even becoming less important as a trading partner for Germany after Brexit. This year, the United Kingdom will drop out of the top 10 German trading partners for the first time in recent history. This emerges from an analysis by the federal company Germany Trade and Invest, the GTAI, which is available to the German press agency in London, and I told you about this already once. The calendar and seasonally adjusted exchange of goods between January and October grew by 13.7% compared to the same period last year, mainly due to inflation. However, the entire German foreign trade in goods increased by 20.7% in the same period. And most recently, the Czech Republic overtook Great Britain in the ranking of the most important trading partners. The lead is significant and can hardly be made up for in November and December, commented the GTAI. The slow development in German-British foreign trade is not a new trend, emphasizes the report. Since 2017, the first full year after the Brexit referendum, the UK's importance has been steadily declining. At that time, it was still the fifth most important foreign trading partner, but the companies prepared already. And there were other reasons for Brexit. Both the coronavirus pandemic, energy price-driven inflation, and the Bank of England's monetary policy turnaround have thrown the British economic engine out of sync, they say. And the consequences of Brexit amplify the effect because trade across the customs border has become more expensive, says GTAI. But there is still uncertainty. Almost 3 years after the British exit from the EU, the country's post-Brexit economic policy and the course for it remains unclear and is unsettling British companies. Great Britain left the European Union at the end of January 2020 and has also not been a member of the EU Customs Union and the internal market since January 2021. The Brexit trade agreement, agreed at the last moment, ensures freedom from tariffs in most areas. Nevertheless, there are difficulties in trading due to increased bureaucratic requirements. The introduction of expensive and time-consuming work visas for skilled workers also makes cooperation more difficult. According to GTAI, the outlook for 2023 also gives little hope, especially since the central bank believes that Great Britain is heading into a long recession and companies are likely to be even more hesitant to invest. And this affects the delivery of vehicles, industrial machinery, and chemical products, where Germany is one of the most important suppliers. With recession on the horizon, rising financing costs, and a rise in UK corporation tax from 19 to 25% in April 23, there's no sign of a U-turn in sight, the report notes. Of particular interest to German companies are a few smaller sectors which have developed much more strongly despite the economic problems. These included healthcare, offshore wind energy, and infrastructure construction. The GTAI notes mixed signals from the important automotive industry, the most important pillar of German-British trade. If the British car market actually grows significantly in 2023, this could mean a U-turn, it said. E-cars are an important driver, and the sale of new cars with classic combustion engines is to be banned from 2030. The question here is whether Great Britain can build sufficient so-called gigafactories for battery production in good time. And that has not happened yet. And the other point is, at the current price rising, this really drives me mad at the moment. Brexit always drives me mad, and so I even start to stutter sometime. With the current price hikes, it's improbable that too many people will buy a new car in 2023, and so I don't see any improvement coming there. And to come back for a moment to the corruption and nepotism in the mask and PPE procurement, I know the whataboutists will come up again. Yes, we had this too in Germany, but in Germany that had immediately consequences for the MPs involved. I didn't see that in the UK. A minister that was involved in such a case didn't have to go because of that. He had to go because he kissed another person from that ministry. And there are a lot more examples like this, why it is not taken seriously enough. And we now hear, as I said in the beginning of the video, that they want to reclaim money from those companies. But what consequences are there for the people breaking the code of conduct or even getting bribed for stuff like this? I haven't heard about a lot of investigations there. We have our prosecutors on those cases. We had it immediately after those cases became known. But you don't hear that much from Britain about this. And that is the difference. And that is the case with all the scandals we heard. And even if police find people, they stayed in office. And that is just one more symptom for what's wrong at the moment in Britain. Britain was the beacon for democracy, although they always had the House of Lords at that time, which is unelected. And much more unelected than any other place a lot of people are mentioning in the comments. But still, they were a beacon of democracy. And they are not anymore for quite some time. When I look at the laws they're trying to get through Parliament at the moment, when I look at the treatment of people, I'm really worried for a lot of my friends in the UK and their future in that country. I mean, the situation at the moment is dark enough, with the economic crisis being much worse than in continental Europe. But the future under this government, it's nothing I really want to see. I will have to talk about it, obviously, what's going on until there will be a change in government. And I, it's unbelievable what's going on there. And you always have to remember, despite some stupid Brexiteers not getting it, I am a conservative myself, and I have to talk about a, what you would see as a partner party of my party. I have to talk about like this all the time because of what's going on there. I'm not praising Labour. I'm not praising what Keir Starmer is doing at the moment. They wouldn't be that bad at the moment as the Tory government is. I give you that. But I'm not a fan of Labour myself. But I'm so sad about what's going on in this party. The Tory party, I mean now. They could be a good government. They could have been a good government if they all were not that self-centered and only interested in their own clientele. That is the problem there. And becoming a member of parliament in that group, probably only when you're a millionaire or whatever, is another problem. That is another thing that's different here. Well, in some cases, it helps if you have a little bit of money for your own campaign to add on, but you don't have to be a millionaire to be an MP in Germany or be a minister or whatever. As you can see in our current government especially, although I'm not a fan of theirs too. But I'm sometimes I don't even know what to say anymore. I know I'm reporting and saying a lot every day, but I'm sometimes really out of words of what I'm seeing there. But still, I'm seeing you in my next video. I'll be back.